Hello everyone. Today we're going to continue our video series here, part 2. We went over this quite a bit already, so if you haven't seen that video, go back and watch that one. But if you're not interested, or if you already feel comfortable with what you see on the screen here, then you're in the right place. We're going to cover today exceptions. We're going to raise an exception, and we're going to loop our game logic a little bit here. We're going to allow ourselves to give the user a chance to input and see their code. We're going to be able to run more than one action at a time, or not at a time, more than once. The program won't just end. So let's get started here. The way we're going to set that up for ourselves here is rather than calling character attack defend down here, we're going to set ourselves up with a while loop, while true. So this code is just going to run forever until we tell it to stop. The first thing we want to do is take some information from the user. We're going to give them a chance to input what they would like to do. So choose your action, A for attack, and in parentheses to kind of give them a hint about what we're expecting them to type in, D for defend. And then we're going to do this too. We're going to raise their, say they put a lowercase letter in here. This will increase it to uppercase for us here. And now we're going to set up our try and accept clauses here. So the try and accept are going to collect information from the try and accept are going to protect our code from airing out. So one detail you'll notice here is we don't actually have this perform action function, but we've set up our code so that when perform action gets an input that doesn't match this letter A or letter D, we're going to raise an exception. We're going to point that out to the user saying, hey, you're selecting an option that doesn't exist. So we're going to be able to use this try and accept code here inside our perform action, and we'll be able to run this print statement, print E down here, line 29, by raising an exception here. But so far what we have set up here is a basic little while loop that lets the user, and you could think of this as like maybe your card game or your video game, you have someone attacking, you have a duel, a battle, attack, defend, well, this while loop keeps the game going. And you could set an end condition later on. You would set an end condition when one player's health maybe drops to 0, you would end the while loop. That's one way to continue the code, but we're not going to do that. Right now we're going to work on building this perform action function. So rather than calling the attack and defend methods like we did earlier, the code that I deleted that was right here, between the loop and the character, we're gonna instead centralize our logic here. We're gonna do perform action, right? And you can see here we've eliminated that error. We have a new error. It's expecting a parameter. That's what that error is telling us. So we're gonna have our parameter here. We'll call it maybe game action, to not copy the scope name of that variable here. And now we know that we are expecting an A or a D, and because they're uppercase, we've capitalized the letter. If the letter's already capitalized, this code does nothing. Don't need to worry about it. But we do need to consider that these are going to be capital letters. So game action. Here we're going to do the attack method here. So we're going to run this code if the user selects that letter there. Oh, I forgot the colon. And then elif. So if they don't put the letter A, we're going to check if they put the letter D. And if they do, we're going to use self.defend. So we'll run this bit of code if they put the letter D. And then else we will raise a value error. So this is how we can use a raised exception. This raised exception will throw us right down here. So we'll put a debugger point right there to kind of test our code out. Let's run our code. Let's see how it works. I got my debug statement here. We'll leave this right up here. This is good. So our program's asking us what we want to do, A or D. Let's do A first. Okay, cool. Mage attacks. I was expecting the code to be up here. Oh, because it's the run statement. Cool. Mage attacks. So that's when we ran this function right here. We put in the letter A, and you'll see this also works with lowercase a too. Let's put D. D. Oh, you can see we ran this function here. So we're just using the basic elif logic here, and this while loop is keeping our program running. And now let's trigger our value error. So let's put the letter F. And you can see here my debugger caught this point here. We're ready to run this code because game action, which is this variable right here, action entered as a parameter into perform action. Game action is that letter F. We can see in our debug statement here. That's not A or D, so we hit the else block. We raise this exception. That's going to send us down here to this value error. So if we continue our code, where is... There we go. Step into my code. And there we have it. We printed E here. We printed invalid action. So that's a really simple way to raise an exception. And you'll notice that even though we raised it inside this method, it was transferred back to our caller here, which is a nice way to send information back without a return statement. We were able to send this information to this print statement, this E variable, this error variable. We were able to send this information back without using a return statement, which is a pretty powerful tool. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.